Hey, we are back with another Playful Humans podcast. I'm your host, Mike Montague, and my guests this week we have two. Richard Wilmore from Heart Needs Art and Vocab, an artist, one of the artists that participates in Heart Needs Art, and you can find her at Andrea, vocabsanderson.com. She has a song out there about rediscovering the power of play and leaning into play, giving yourself permission to do that. I'm excited to talk to her about that and how these artists are bringing health and healing to people that need it. Super fun. If you need more information about Playful Humans, go to playfulhumans.com. Here we go.
Hey.
All right, Richard and Vocab, we like to start with the joke of the week here on the podcast. The joke of the week this week is brought to you by yoga. My yoga instructor was drunk the other day. He put me in some very awkward positions. I don't even know what that.
Wow.
Probably just awkward position would have been funnier. It's Halloween. The official joke of the week is, what kind of key opens the door to a haunted house?
The spooky?
Skeleton key?
Yeah, Vocab.
Spooky. Oh, dang it.
Spooky. Do you have a joke for us? Do you have a favorite joke?
Yes, it is a very well-known joke. And I will address Richard. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Impatient cow.
Impatient
Moo.
cow. Oh. Scared me. I peed a little bit.
It did kind of sound like a boo this time of year instead of a moo, but that's okay. We'll go with it.
Same effect.
Richard had never heard the impatient cow knock knock joke.
That was the
unbelievable.
Halloween
But I'm glad somebody did. That's a classic. And I feel like we could have just started with your song, Vocab, because that would have been a great theme music, and I feel like it fits right in line with the mission. So as we play it here in the background a little bit, can you tell us about the song and what it means and what we're saying?
Sure. So there is an organization in San Antonio called Central San Antonio, and they're responsible for the public artworks that we have here in the city. And they approached myself and a lady named Barbara Felix, who did the painting for the mural, and they asked us to put together a public artwork. So this mural is downtown San Antonio, off of Commerce Street on a wall. It's a huge mural. It's like the biggest one in their series. And the whole premise of it, I came up with the idea of permission to play. Like, as adults, we stop giving ourselves permission to be playful, and how we need to incorporate that back in our lives. Pretty much everything your podcast stands for. And so
Exactly.
What we did was we asked two of my friends to come to a studio and film. We filmed them. I wasn't there, but they're my friends. They filmed dancing, and she got different still shots of their dancing, and she incorporated into this mural, and it's them in several different movements, stages. And then she incorporated the poem that I wrote, which is called Permission to Play, and the song is Are We There Yet? I know it's two different things, but it's the same actual piece. And so some of the text is a part of the mural. And this is my song. You can stream it. It's online under my name, Andrea Vocab Sanderson, and it's called Are We There Yet?
Stop learning, even in interludes of recreation. Our muscles adapted by strengthening our sweat glazed limbs, gaining whimsical wisdom with every experience. Arms and legs radiate white with orange glow. Body language flows in acrobatic figuration. Interpretation jigsaws fittingly in translation. We intertwine fingers.
That's so awesome. I think it's so cool, and people should definitely go check out the full recording. And I love the message, and I noticed that you do, kind of poetry and music. You have an incredible voice, and I love the style. It gives me like I'm a 80s and 90s kid, so I'm getting like, the Queen Latifah Salt and Pepper, like awesome R&B 90s vibes from that, which I love. It gives me great, warm, playful feelings already. But your style of poetry and everything is great too, because I already hear you mentioning some of the stuff that I wanted to talk to Richard about, which is sort of the whole body healing and play and all of the different sensations. I think one of my goals with this podcast, but also anytime I go out and speak, is to get people to actually experience play and remember what it feels like to play, because I think as adults, sometimes we carry around so much stress that we never even get to feel that feeling. So can you talk about that a little bit, Richard, and what it means to, there's just the physical and mental benefits of play?
Yeah, when you were saying that, it reminded me, I don't know if you've ever heard that Ellen DeGeneres joke that she had a long time ago about, like, when did we stop playing tag? And can you imagine walking down the street as an adult and just running up to someone and be like, tag, you're it, and running away? And like what that would feel like. And at Hearts Need Art, we work with people who are in the hospital, and we work with the healthcare staff. But I always talk about, like, what would it be like if we were to play and be creative before we got in the hospital and before, we were like stuck facing the end of our lives. And I don't know. I think we're lucky, Vocab. I'm sure you can say the same thing, that like we get to play every day. And so like I can't imagine my life without being able to play and being able to listen to live music and literally get to make art, and we play every day. And it's not like you necessarily you feel like a kid, but you kind of just feel more free and you feel more in tune with yourself. And I feel like I probably cry a lot more, because it's like if I've got something to work out, I do it in play, and it gives you a sense to like reconnect with yourself again and not take everything so seriously. Like we can. It's okay,
I think there's a difference here. What I want to highlight about what you said was, I think people think it's childish to play, but it's more childlike. I think it's unleashing your inner child, not being a child. And I've looked at tons of different definitions of play too. Is there a difference between play and art, or is art just an expression of play? Because there's lots of different ways to play. You can play as an athlete, as an explorer. You can solve puzzles and games. You can do board games or tell comedy jokes. But I feel like art is just one of those different ways to play. What do you think?
Oh, I want Vocab to answer that, because I feel like she's going to have a better answer.
I don't think that painting is always play. I think it's creativity and exploration, which is a facet and component of playing, but not always. And I think that painting can become playful if you want it to be. Yes. And I think
I think it can also become work, which is hard. I talk to a lot of artists on this show, and I know that when you guys do it so much, there has to be days where you don't feel like it, right? And you're showing up for people with Hearts Need Art that are in the hospital, and people need art in some bad situations. So you feel, I'm sure, sometimes obligated to show up when you're not feeling the best. And I found that to be great. Scheduling this podcast is a similar thing, that some days I don't feel like it. I'm not bringing it. And by the time you get into it, it changes your energy and vibe. But I know when you start doing it for work and for pay, it can also turn those playful opportunities into paying gigs and work instead. How do you avoid that?
I have to think about the fact that I'm choosing every day to walk in love, and this is a part of the love walk. Do I love people? Am I compassionate? Am I caring? Do I have empathy and sympathy? And that's what motivates me to get up and go do it, because I definitely don't feel like driving across town, because for me, it's a 30-minute drive to go across town to the hospital that I work at. But I love people. And every single time I get in the room with someone and we sit down, they start smiling, even if they're in pain. And almost every single time they're in pain, and their pain level is always above a 5. I've only talked to one man where his pain level wasn't high. But most of the people were about to go into surgery, or they're coming out of surgery, and they're in recovery, or they're getting ready, they're pre-op. So they welcome the distraction, and they feel better, and they thank me, and they thank everybody that comes into the room and interacts with them, that comes in the capacity of bringing art to them. They're thankful because they wouldn't have had that experience otherwise.
I think it
It's so
also.
good.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Richard.
I think it also like changes the person, whether it's an artist, a musician, a writer. Like there's that selfish part of like we get something out of it as well. Like it's not necessarily always us like giving and we're the facilitator. Like I think we learn so much from people, and we are also doing the art as well with them. So we are also participating and getting something out of it.
Yeah, I wanted to dive in more, Richard, too, about the Hearts with Art and how this started and why you think it's important, because I know all of the benefits, but I don't know the people listening or watching right now on YouTube are really understanding how big of a difference this makes. That a lot of times play is better than the medicines themselves for lowering blood pressure and avoiding heart attacks and strokes and other things, which is incredible. And even just movement in play or art or being able to stand and paint is an incredible feat for some of the people in these situations, and it makes a big difference. How did this come about? And maybe tell me some of your favorite stories or benefits from it.
I wish I was cool enough to say I started it, but I didn't. It was founded in 2016 by a childhood leukemia survivor. She, as an adult, moved to San Antonio, Texas, and was volunteering in the hospital. She's a singer, and she was going there once a month to sing to patients. And the more she did it, the more they wanted her to come back. And they were wondering why it wasn't in the hospital every day, all day. And so she started the nonprofit in 2016, and we've grown from one floor of one hospital to we are now in 10 hospitals. We turn 7 in November, so it's a lot of expansion very quickly. And I think my favorite play story was we work with adults. We don't actually work with kids or anything. We work with the adults, and we work with their family members and the healthcare staff. And we had a group art class once, and I had ordered like little wooden like trucks, airplanes, cars, like all these little things. And so we told them that we were just going to paint them so they could have them in their rooms. And they finished painting them, and we had a tablecloth on the table, and I took the tablecloth off, and there was a racetrack under the tablecloth. And to see adults get excited about racing little miniature cars around a racetrack, like it was, and they did it for like an hour and a half, just racing each other and seeing who could push it across. And that, I think, was for me, seeing people actually play like that in that childlike, like they didn't care. They didn't care who was watching. They were just having so much fun. And we see it in the surveys, like Vocab was talking about, that they're pushing their call buttons less because they're distracted. They're not feeling as much pain. They're more compliant with their nurses. Oftentimes we'll get calls because patients aren't really doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're not showering. They're not, complying with the nursing staff. And then we come in and we hang out with them and we treat them like humans again. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly they're starting to take showers when they need to and do what they're supposed to do. So there's so much just in the hospital, connecting a patient with a hospital staff, with a nurse, to know that they're both just people at the end of the day, and just their mental like stability in the hospital, because suddenly like you're having a great day one day and then the next day you're in a hospital and you have no idea what's going on. So there's so much going on for them that this kind of levels it all out, and it becomes kind of an even playing field.
Yeah, it's so cool. I actually got experience with this several years ago. I met a young man named Jeff Hansen, who was as a teenager in the hospital for a brain tumor. It was like a genetic disease that caused blindness and brain tumors around the eyes. and he started painting note cards, like thank you notes and stuff while he was in the hospital, spending so much time there, sitting there with chemotherapy and stuff, just creating art as a way to be a distraction. And it turned out, because he was legally blind, he had to do really big, bright colors and big, huge, thick lines and patterns so that he could even see it. And it turned into amazing art. So I made a website for him, jeffhansen.com. And unfortunately, he passed away in 2020 from his, issues there, but ended up creating over $1 million for charity. I think they're multiple millions now, somewhere between like $3 and $10 million. He would sell his paintings at art auctions and charity auctions, and people just loved them. And really cool, amazing art. But to me, there's just so many like stacked on benefits here. Like you said, we're helping the artists that go teach painting. We're helping the patients in the hospital. He's generating children's money for children's charities and art by selling the paintings that were created, and everybody's getting healthier and happier along the way. It's just an incredible project and synergies. Vocab, let's talk. I would love to ask you that question, because you still go and do this, and you've been doing it for a long time. She's bringing out her goat if you're on the YouTube version. Tell us about the benefits that you've seen as an artist going in to work with people, because I think it makes sense for the patients. They're struggling. They're in a bad spot. Like Richard said, they just need to get up and move and shower and stuff. And the play obviously has a ton of health benefits. But what about for you as somebody that volunteers?
Yesterday, I walked out of a room in tears because it's connection. I empathize with what they're going through. And there was a woman who, she had been married for 65 years and she just lost her husband. And as soon as she started talking to me, I handed her a heart, because we get, the cool thing about working for Hearts Need Art is people send in different hearts to us. And someone had made this beautiful crochet heart, and it had like some, like the yarn that was used, or the material that was used, it had some shine to it, and it was just a beautiful heart. And so I handed it to her when I walked into her room, and I was like, you might need a heart. And the appreciation that washed over her face, like it hit me so deeply. And I walk out inspired every single time, and I am grateful. Just like Richard said, I am grateful for meeting these people, because they are going through things in their life, and it makes whatever I might have walked in feeling or going through in my own mind, it just starts to shrink and dissolve away, because I'm like, these people are truly needing love and someone to see them. Often people from these communities that are recovering or not feeling well, or even handicapped, or whatever we're dealing with, they need to be seen, they need to be acknowledged. And it's not just coming in the room, what do you need for this, what do you want to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, what's your pain level, what meds do you want to take now? It's not just that. It's like truly listening to them, because they'll start from the beginning of their story, and they'll just start telling you everything when you walk in the room. They really do.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to me how each situation is different. And that's one of the things that I like to highlight here. Is I already mentioned the different play styles, and there's a quiz. You can go to playfulhumans.com/quiz and figure out what one of your play styles is and what excites you. But each person and each moment is different. And I think we miss that when we do a lot of, I don't know, we ask kids what they want to be when they grow up. Like there's one answer to that question. And I think, who do you want to be, or how do you want to be, are better questions to those. And somebody that's in a moment of pain might need something different than somebody that's in a moment of stress, just because, work stress is different than physical pain and stuff. So I love that you can find ways to connect with other people, and we can use different ways to play to solve different ailments and challenges. Richard, tell me more about the organization and how people match up, because I'm sure, just from what I'm gathering here, that that art and play is expressed in a lot of different ways from people that volunteer. Can you talk maybe about some of the different activities that people can do, or the different types of artists that you have involved in the program?
Yeah, so most of our stuff is done in San Antonio, Texas, where we're based, but we do some virtual stuff with some hospitals around the country as well. And we do visual arts, so we can go in and paint the windows in their room to kind of customize it. A lot of people put favorite sports teams or their pets on there just to kind of make it feel a little more at home, or they can learn how to do something. But it's also interesting because you never know who's going to be there. So you could walk in and the person could be like, oh, I have a room full of art supplies already because I love art and I've been doing art for 40 years. And so, then two artists are connecting, which is really cool to see. And for music, we can do ukulele lessons. You can learn a song how to play. You can learn a song on the ukulele in 30 minutes, or you can just request songs. So we have a couple different things you can do there with writing. I mean, that can be anything. That can be songwriting, that can be poetry, that could be creative fiction, nonfiction. It's really a long list of stuff we can do. Our art cart just has a bunch of stuff on it, and so it's all
cool.
Patient led, where they tell us what they want to do and we figure out how to do it.
What's your favorite way to play?
Ooh. I wish I had a talent. But my favorite play is to go out and watch live music, live theater. I love that energy of everybody in one space for one reason. And I love watching that. I just went to a heavy metal concert a couple weekends ago, and I'd never been to one. And I didn't even know who they were, but it was just so fun to watch everybody in unison singing songs. I always think that, like, when you love a song and you think, oh, this is my anthem, like this is my theme song, and then you go to a concert and you're like, how does everybody know my song? Like, that's my song. And just everybody connecting over that, one person or that one song is so fun to me.
Yeah, the similar energy and the way those energies come together for me is a good one too. I don't remember. It might have been my first big concert since the pandemic, but about a month or so ago, I went to a concert and it was really amazing. And it was great to feel that vibe and energy again that I noticed I had missed. I had missed that part of it for sure.
Yeah.
Vocab, what about for you? What's your favorite way to play?
I like to sing.
Yeah.
More than anything. I practice several forms of art, but singing by far, and sing-alongs are, like Richard said, something so wonderful, because you can get lost. You can get lost in it, and also found. You can find yourself and get some clarity in there too.
There's something to be said for that. I found, even just with the public speaking, that there's like a resonance or a frequency thing that happens with music and singing, that you're vibrating your body, even with my public speaking, in a way that you're not usually doing. And when you find that kind of flow or momentum or that right resonance, it really changes your energy as well. It creates something that's different than what you experience in a normal work day and stuff, that I think is cool about that one.
Absolutely.
For sure. I'm going to ask you a tough one here. I kind of hinted at it earlier, but my last question for you is, and maybe you can, speak to somebody that's burnt out, or they're bored, or they just like do not feel in a playful state. What do you do when you don't feel like playing? What do you do when you're stuck, or you have some sort of creative block and you're not feeling like your playful inner child self? I'll start with you, Vocab.
I enjoy somebody else's work. And sometimes you just have to live, because you don't have an experience to go off of that you're inspired. You have to enjoy art and enjoy life until you feel inspired again, and not necessarily force yourself to do something. Sometimes it's being around little kids and seeing how free they are, and then saying, okay, I'm going to move my you need a posture change. And a posture change is sometimes getting up and walking the space, or engaging with other people, or getting an adult a coloring book and coloring, or blowing some bubbles, or laughing at a comedy special. But you need to have a posture change so that you can have so you can literally change your mind.
Yeah, I like that a lot. What about for you, Richard?
Yeah, I was going to say something similar. Like, one, just embrace it. If you're not, like, it's okay. You don't have to constantly be going 100 miles an hour at all times. So maybe take that moment. And what I find, like, I try to, if I'm not into like what I'm doing at the moment, I try to find something else, which is one of the reasons why we offer multiple things at Hearts Need Art, is because you're not always going to resonate with music or writing or art. So you can try something new and see if maybe that's motivating to you.
I like all of that. I think that's similar for me. The only one I would add maybe is I found moving my body. If you really want to change your energy and your mind, try changing your physical location, or just moving and exercising and stuff. Your body just starts changing those chemicals and just changing the environment and what you're seeing and stuff around you. And Vocab, I love what you said about experiencing other people's art. I think inputs a lot of times do change our outputs. And so if we want to be more funny, we need to start watching more comedy. If we want to be more thoughtful, we need to listen to thoughtful and caring and kind people and stuff. And sort of that old, changing the algorithm in our favor, right? It's like, the world and the internet especially will show you, war, famine, and death if you look for it. If you put in puppies and kittens and stuffed goats, it will show you more of that as well. Look, see,
like that.
Asked and answered. All right, are you guys ready to play a game?
Yes, that's actually how I love. That's my fun, is games. I love card games and board games. Okay, so let's go.
All right, here we go. We have into a card game, and now we're playing live on a podcast. Its survey says we surveyed 100 people. The top answers are on the card. Whichever of you get the highest
Family Feud.
We're going to do 2 out of 3. First one is, name a kind of pet you had in childhood besides a dog. Yes.
Is there a buzzer? A cat.
Oh, cat is good. Vocab?
That's probably the top answer. I will say a pet bird.
Bird is right below it. You nailed it. Top 3 are dog, cat, and bird. But Richard gets the quick buzz in there for that. We didn't set up the buzzer, so I think Vocab, you kind of got hosed on that one. Let's try it again. We'll give Vocab first guess. Where might a school bus take a student besides school?
Field trip.
Field trip, number 1 answer, but you can still get a guess there, Richard.
Well, I'm going to say besides school and a field trip, it's going to go to the zoo, which would be a field trip.
Good. Zoo is on there for sure. That's the number 5 answer. Museum and sporting event are up there, but surprisingly, the one nobody thinks about is they got to take the kids home too. You got to take them to school and you got to take them.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was. Oh, okay. So the number 1 place they take them to a school, but then taking them back home. Yeah, like the bus stops of the world. Yeah.
Well, that's why I thought field trip was kind of cheating, because that encompasses a lot of things. So I didn't know
that it does. Yeah, museum, zoos, and other stuff would be on there. But good answers here, right? I feel like it all comes down to this. Buzz in. Name a decision people make that will affect the rest of their entire life.
Buzz.
Oh, Vocab got in first.
Where they go to school.
Oh, school is number 4. You got 3 above it and 3 after it. Richard
got it.
Who they marry.
Marriage is the number 1 answer. There we go. Having kids and career and job on there. House, retirement, and where to live also available. Richard, we'll give you a free 30-second commercial for Hearts Need Art, and we will play Vocab's song in the background here. It's called Are We There Yet? This is the permission to play poem in song form from Andrea Vocab Sanderson. Find her at AndreaVocabSanderson.com. And now tell us about Hearts Need Art, Richard.
All right, Hearts in 30 seconds. Hearts Need Art. We hire local creatives, train them, put them in hospitals to work with adults, their family members, and the healthcare staff to provide moments of joy and connection and self-expression. And people like Vocab are who we get to go in to do all the work. We also pride ourselves that we do pay the artists. That's a huge part for us to provide wages for artists to come in and do the work. And in order to do that, we need donations. So heartsneedart.org to do that. So Vocab can keep working.
There you go. heartsneedart.org. Check out the organization. Help out if you can. And certainly if you're in the San Antonio area, reach out to these two, especially. But wherever you're listening to this, we appreciate it. If you want to learn more about Playful Humans, go to playfulhumans.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this episode with somebody that you think needs to hear it. And until next time, if you can't be good at it. That's what I always say. We're going to let Vocab play out.
Feeling cozy as sock puppet sleeves and ease buzzes around me. I'm seeing life differently as we dance in lemon rays of a playground, twirling around. It's glorious and never laborious the way we move. The roots of maturity remain